All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. I'm Kevin Daisey, and I'm your host, also the founder of Array Digital. We help law firms online, mainly with SEO and content. So if you're looking for that kind of help, reach out, ask any questions. I'm happy to help. Today, I have a really cool guest, Cruz Payne, who is an influencer on Instagram and is an attorney as well. He's got a really cool story, and he's going to share a lot of awesome stuff with you today. So, Clay, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me.
Excellent. So, we'll get to the Instagram stuff in a little bit because that is unique, and talk about your experience and stuff with that. But I always like to start with, the guest. I want to know your story. This is all about you and what you're currently up to. And for our other guests listening in, they want to see how they maybe can relate or see what situation they have that what you have to share today can help them. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, your background personally, and then we'll kind of get into the firm you're with and what you have going on there.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm in San Antonio, Texas. Grew up in Texas, and started practicing law about 4 or 5 years ago. And I started at the firm I'm at now, and kind of progressed from being a law clerk to an associate to a partner of the firm. But most of our practice here is just we're a boutique litigation firm. We get a lot of referrals, and up until my marketing efforts, I did through social media. We really haven't had any sort of outside, or any sort of paid marketing. We don't do SEO, pay-per-click, or anything like that. But as we'll probably talk about here in a second, the Instagram and social media has kind of, completely changed the trajectory of my career. And, bringing in cases is obviously extremely important, part of business.
Yeah, well, I mean, so, kind of where you were started to where you are is a pretty quick timeline. So, to where, Clay's there doing the work and helping out, and then boom, he turns on the leads and moves on up pretty quick. So, which is interesting because I think, and a lot of what you just said too, is, you all don't do paid media, you don't do SEO, you don't do the pay-per-click. So, and a lot of firms are out there like that. They're referral based and they've been around for a long time, and that's just kind of how they do business. And that's fine, I think, for firms that want to be in that space. But you kind of brought in some new dynamic, and it's not like they called my company and invested and hoped it worked. It was you kind of did this on your. So I kind of want to get into that. So learn more about what you did, how you did it, how it's been successful in your mind, and let's talk about some of the numbers too. So for those listening, and I want to go ahead and throw this on the screen. First off, go on Instagram. I'm sure you have it. Everyone's got Instagram. And check out his handle. It's right down the bottom there. It's the Payne Lawyer. So it's at the Payne Lawyer. You can find him on Instagram, connect with him. And also, if you don't have Instagram and just want to go check out his firm and connect with him that way, the web address is below. That's cruzpc.net. That's cruzpc.net if you're listening on audio in your vehicle. But go check him out, connect with him, and then we'll get to some of the details. So Clay, tell me a little bit about where you're at right now with your Instagram following and what kind of the numbers that you see as you're putting these posts and videos up.
Sure. So I guess kind of just taking a step back, I started on Instagram about April of 2022. So almost a year, and I have over 200,000 followers on Instagram. I have over 200,000 followers on TikTok, and then about 10,000 followers on YouTube Shorts. And so the way I do my marketing is I post, and each platform, I just repurpose it for the other platform. I don't do a separate post. But it's essentially a lot of the growth I've had, started, after jumping on to Instagram and kind of repurposing the content there. But as far as like the leads I'm getting, you know, it's multiple 5 to 10 leads a day, not all in my area of practice. So there is some weeding out, whether it's, just a general inquiry, general legal question. But we're signing cases, 18-wheeler cases, motor vehicle accidents constantly from social media. Not only in my state, but I'm also getting inquiries throughout the United States, just because there's no geographic limit to these leads.
Wow, that's awesome. So for those listening, you say, I don't believe in Instagram or TikTok or nothing like that. You're a state, you practice in the state of Texas, so that's specific. And you're signing cases in Texas, and then of course you're getting leads and referrals or potential referrals in lots of other states as well. So
Right.
I would think most attorneys that I know would be like, well, that probably won't work for us. Instagram, it probably won't work for a firm. It's not going to generate actual cases. And so what you're saying, though, that's not the case, and that is working for you. So that's good to hear. It's good for others to hear that. So
Yeah.
I would say,
No, I mean,
an attorney listening right now, like open up your mind and think, okay, well, can this work for me, and how can I do this? And it is a source that you can work. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, we don't do, and also I don't do any paid Instagram either. I mean, you have the option to boost posts, to put money behind post and do some sort of, marketing funnel. But actually all my followers came organically. In other words, there's not like paid followers, there's not paid advertising. I mean, this was from putting out posts that people enjoyed, almost as an entertainer. I mean, you're putting out these entertaining posts. People, follow you because they like your personality, which essentially you're building this brand. And those are the strongest followers too. I mean, those are the followers that are going to convert into potential clients, because they're watching you day in and day out, putting a suit on and providing, legal tips to them, with respect to, all areas of law.
Yeah. And I watched some of your stuff and checked out some of your videos, and yeah, it's Clay. He's there in a suit, and he has a couple different angles and stuff like that, and the words up on the screen. Pretty basic stuff, and you can hire. And Clay will ask you this in a second, but you can get a VA, or you can get an assistant, or just someone that can do some brief editing, put it up, and just record the good content. And I think get in front of a camera, get comfortable, and just talk about the law, which is what Clay knows and what you know. So it's really easy stuff, because you just take one little piece and you put it out there. Like I saw some of yours, like what you should do when you get pulled over, what kind of things you need to collect, like photos and things not to do, like having conversations with the other drivers on the side of the road and getting into potential conflicts. So just sharing what you already know and putting it into bite-sized pieces that people can take in and watch and follow. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think you do a really good job with the content I saw, and growing that organically is super important. You don't want to just pay for stuff or buy followers or whatever. You want to organically see that growth from the content you're producing. That way, it's working, right? If your content wasn't good, then you probably wouldn't have generated the following that you have. So,
Yeah.
give me a little bit of or the audience a little bit of an idea. What does a day look like? So how are you recording? Are you bashing it in one day? Or are you doing a little bit every day? What does that look like? So if they wanted to kind of do the same thing for maybe their family law practice or for whatever it may be, but kind of what's that look like for you, and how much effort are you putting into it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm, still practicing law, throughout the week, and preparing for trials and doing, depositions and all that stuff. So, this is, all the stuff I'm still, grinding away and bringing in fees for the firm. But so I usually set aside a weekend to do my video content stuff. I'll do it on a Sunday. Throughout the week, I'll kind of think of ideas, because I usually produce one video a day. And so, throughout the week, if I get an idea, I'll pop it into my phone and my notes, what to do after a car accident, or, if you're family law, what do you do when you get served with divorce papers, or, something like that. I mean, something that's brief, to the point. And at that point is, I'll jot something down, and then I'll kind of come up with a script. Usually it takes me about an hour or two to come up with the script for my 7 ideas. And then we shoot the content on Sunday. I'm either shooting it at my home office or at my office. It takes about an hour or two. So, I mean, there is definitely a time dedication for this. But I mean, you can't complain about the return on interest, because, it's essentially free. I'm spending, probably less than $1,000 a month, because like I'm outsourcing my video editing. It's not ad spend, but it's just, I spend probably $15, $20 a video, and then send, 30 videos a month. So, probably $700-800 a month is what my video editing expense is. And that's the extent of my cost. So even if I get one case, I mean, everyone in the PI realm knows a case is probably valued in a major, metropolitan city by $1,000 or $2,000. So even if I get one case, which I'm getting a lot more than that, I mean, it's worth the return.
No, absolutely. And in some PI firms that I work with, or that I know of, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars per month trying to get a little ahead in Google Ads, or show up better online or whatever. And they none of them do what you're doing. They don't show up online. Their firms have stagnant social media pages that never get updated. So, but I think this area gets ignored, and they just think, well, that won't work. They'll send mailers out to 1,000 people a day and spend a truckload of money on old school tactics that probably don't produce for them. So I think it's really cool what you're doing. And so and the effort you have into it is it's not that much. You just do a little bit of planning, do some recording on a Sunday, right, and you're good to go. And for someone else listening, I mean, you could carve out some time during the day, early in the morning, one evening during the week, if you don't want to mess with family time. But it's definitely doable. And
Sure.
like you're saying, if you're getting all these cases, I mean, it's definitely paying for itself, for sure.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the recording, do you have someone there with you? Is it yourself with your own camera? What's that look like?
Yeah. So my wife is my.
Speaking of cameras,
my wife is my video editor. She's the one that actually, helps me with things. She wants to quit her job soon, but she's my biggest fan. So she still comes down and shoots my videos for me. I probably should outsource it at some point, just so I don't have to, drag her to the office. But at this point, she endures it.
Well, that's awesome to have that. So all right. So again, for the audience, you can set up your own camera, or you can have an assistant, or your wife.
And it's also my camera. My camera is this iPhone, by the way. I mean, there's nothing sophisticated about it. I mean, I'm using the phone I use every day to shoot my videos. The iPhone, it's an iPhone 13, and actually has really good video quality. I think most smartphones have really good quality these days.
Yeah, I got the Pixel 6 Pro, and I mean, it's amazing. And so I think that's another big misconception is, and this with podcasting too. I talked to a lot of firms that, we wanted to do a podcast, but we got some of the equipment, and then, they never record anything. And so they're always looking for perfection. Like, well, the audio's got to be best, and we have to have an editor, and that costs a lot of money, and everyone gets caught up in the perfection.
Yeah. What's the saying?
I bet Clay did not do that. He just probably started making videos and started to see what worked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's this saying, like, perfection is the, I can't think of the saying, but you know what I'm saying?
Progress or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But when I started, I mean, I'm sure I was probably goofy in front of the camera. No one is naturally, capable in front of a camera. It takes some practice. So, I mean, I'm sure if anyone out there starts, doing this, it's probably going to take some time to be comfortable in front of the camera. Even today, when I come in on the weekends, it takes a few shots to kind of get in the hang of things, because it's weird looking at this, camera or phone or whatever, and then, saying lines. I mean, you don't do that, day in and day out.
Yeah, and you think lawyers in court and they get to go up and talk in front of people and whatever. But yeah, something about when you
Yeah.
turn a camera on, you're like, um, but again, you do it over and over again. When I first started podcasting, it was, I was all worried about everything and how my voice sounds and all that stuff. And you kind of get over
Yeah.
that pretty quickly. So, but the thing is, it's to generate cases. So you got to think about what's the reason behind doing what you're doing. And you're trying to build a following, get out a good message, share what you know, and then trade. Hopefully you're going to get some attention and some people that need your help. So I love it. So you mentioned backstage, we were talking where you are getting lots of potential cases and leads outside of Texas. And so since we have an audience here of attorneys, what, talk about some of the states maybe that you see like some
Yeah,
leads
no,
coming from that you might
I'm
get
always looking
send
for
them.
new referral partners out of state, local counsel, on some of these cases that I'm generating. At the same time, if anyone out there has Texas cases, I'd be happy to, work a referral relationship with you guys. We're all in it together, fighting the good fight. I feel bad for Florida right now and the tort reform that's hitting, but I'm sure there's some, like I said, there's plenty of states out there, and with Instagram or any social media, there's no geographic limit where you get these cases, because when you have organic reach, you can't say, "Hey, I just want Texas cases." It just shoots it to everyone. I think that I have 20 or 30% of my followers are actually outside the country, which are probably, not necessarily lead generating followers, but you can't control that. I mean, if you have 70% of your followers in the United States, you're still going to get cases outside of your geographic, area, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, as long as you have, a good, referral network. And so, like I said, I'm happy to connect with anyone. Y'all, I think that Kevin provided my information if y'all want to shoot me an email.
Yeah.
Or
Again, this is if you want to go follow him on Instagram and connect with him. And I messaged Clay, through Instagram and said, "Hey, Clay, like I see what you're doing, and we'd love to have you come on the show." And so if you go to follow him on Instagram, you can message him and you'll get that message. So that's one way to do it.
yeah.
If not, you can go over to his website and Clay, what's your actual email address?
Yeah, so my email is my it's C Payne, so C, my first initial, and then Payne, Payne, at cruzpc.net. So first initial, last name at cruzpc.net. Shoot me an email or send me a message on Instagram, and like I said, we can connect and see what we can do for each other.
Free leads, people. Let's go.
That's funny though, Kevin. I was going to say that I've met a lot of attorneys since it's not just advertising to the consumer that you get through Instagram. It's also advertising to referral partners, and the amount of cases I've gotten referred to me since jumping on Instagram is crazy as well. So that's another aspect of it.
That's a good point. I mean, other attorneys like to follow other attorneys that are making, waves in their industry. So for like Clay, he's got a huge following. Other attorneys probably follow him. I would assume a big portion of the followers are attorneys. And that's a good point. If they're like in Georgia and they're like, oh, man, I just got this case for Texas. I don't know. Oh, wait, you know what? I follow this guy, Clay.
Yeah.
And he's in Texas. So connect the dots. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I think it's awesome. And imagine when Clay gets to 1 million followers, right? And he's just expanding that reach. Yeah, I think it's definitely something for folks that feel they can get in front of a camera and put out some content. I think it makes a lot of sense. But
Absolutely.
don't do, you can't do a couple and expect that's going to be it. Like you got to have a routine, a process like Clay has, and kind of stick with it. And the other thing too, I think there's some side effects here with this is, if you could have a client that's like, hey, I have a question about this. Oh, hey, here's a video I shot about that. Like Clay doesn't have to spend his time talking about the same thing he already made a video for. You know, you could just link it, pop it to the client, and say, "Yeah, here, I actually I got a 5-minute video all about that," and he can go back to billable work. So, this is a little resource library. So,
yeah.
Well, Clay, I really appreciate you sharing what you've been able to accomplish in a really short amount of time. I mean, that's insane. I have LinkedIn. I got about 20-some thousand followers, and which is peanuts compared to what you have on Instagram. And that's something I'm about to dive more into is Instagram myself personally. And to me, anyone that has built up that kind of following, especially in a year's time, is impressive. So you're doing something right. Yeah, you're doing something right, and hopefully people can connect with you and learn a little something about what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me in your podcast here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's huge. So Instagram, everyone, check it out. Go connect with Clay, and hopefully there's some referral partnership opportunities. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Clay? Anything that you would leave our audience with as just a good tip, something we can leave them with, especially if it's like a new firm, someone that's looking to start their new career today, and what's something that you could pass along to them?
I mean, I would just encourage anyone to kind of jump in on the new marketing wave, as I would call it, because I feel like if right now is the prime time to jump in and get organic reach. I think eventually these platforms are going to kind of squelch the ability to grow so fast and so quickly organically. And you don't want to get left behind. So if you're thinking about jumping on Instagram or TikTok, I mean, TikTok might even be banned here soon. We don't know. But YouTube Shorts, all those platforms, you can repurpose your videos. I think it's the new way that we consume media. I mean, if you look around, people are on their phones scrolling. I mean, so, you don't want to be left behind with, 5 years time. And it's the new billboards, and billboards are the thing of the past. But encourage people to at least give it a try. It's another avenue of bringing in leads and bringing in clients, which is the first thing, you need to start a law firm.
100%. You got new clients, you ain't got new firm. So 100%. And yeah, to your point too, it's like get on as soon as you can, because it's like if you want to invest in Bitcoin, but people told you about it 10 years ago, well, you're too late for that. But you get on it now. So Clay, I appreciate you sharing with me. Everyone, connect with Clay, check him out. Check out this episode, and many more. We have 245 live on the website as this recording, and we're constantly recording and putting out more. We also have the newsletter that goes out once a week to about 3,000 attorneys. We feature books, we feature episodes, tips like what we're getting here from Clay, and that goes out. But check out the podcast online. It's at thisisarray.com/podcast. And the cool thing is there, you'll be able to filter by state or practice area or both. So if I wanted personal injury, Texas, then I'll see Clay's episode along with anyone else that's been on there. So you can find a guest to listen to that can relate to you. So the type of practice that you have and the type of state that you're in. So hopefully that can be a resource for you. And if you need help with marketing, SEO, content, that's what we do. If you can't crush it on Instagram, but you still need leads, we got you covered. We can help you out with ranking on Google. But if you just have questions, I'm open book. Go find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and or email me. And I'm happy just to help answer any questions you might have. And that's it. Clay, thank you so much. Stay on with me. We'll talk backstage. Everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope this was helpful. Get out there and crush it.